So just to refresh, we've been talking about making these railings using the clone modifier and how to use a stack to kind of parametrically modify things. We've progressed to building this, which is a somewhat chunky version of this, and let's get on and finish it. So I've already prepped the shape of my mesh to be somewhat cylindrical at the bottom, but let's go and finish that now. So I'm actually going to start with a cylinder to build the cylinder for this. I could just select these edges and drag them down, which is totally valid, and then just shape it by using various shaping techniques. But I think it's useful to see how to do this another way, so let's go and create a cylinder and drag it up. So, and then align it to the center of that object. Okay. And then I'm going to drag it down into place like this. So if I just turn off the Turbo Smooth modifier in that, you can see that we have 8 sides on the bottom of my mesh. And so I want to make sure that my cylinder matches that number of sides. So I've dialed in already 8 sides onto my cylinder, and I've just got one height segment because I don't need anything else. So let's spin up the height a bit, and then I know they're all aligned because I use the align tool, and they just get their radius to match somewhat. That's fine. Now what I want to make sure is that if I simply attach this object now, I've actually ended up with 8 separate cylinders like this, so I can drag them around. I've actually got multiple things on top of each other. Or rather, I'm going to end up with multiple cylinders because I'm using the symmetry mod, so my actual base mesh is looking like that. So what I want to make sure is that I delete the extra faces before anything else. So I don't need any of the other stuff here, so I'm going to select Control I to invert the selection, and then I can deselect that lot. And then I can delete just those faces, and now I've just got that 1/4 of the cylinder. So now when I apply the symmetry mod, I don't get a bunch of overlapping meshes. And then I can simply now weld these vertices together. So click on that, click on the target weld tool, click a vertex and drag it, this little connection line down to where I want it to go. So click on the vertex, drag the connection line down to where you want it to go, and then lastly for that. And now the 2 elements are attached. So let's just have a look at the Turbo Smooth, and you can see that I need a holding line across there because there's a big gap between this edge and that edge, which is being smoothed. So I can quickly do that now, just with a swift loop, and that will sort out my edges there. So I think that railing is a bit chunky, so I'm just going to do a little bit more shaping. So I'm going to select all those polys like this. Now if I just scale this in, I have to be conscious about my pivot points. So if I just scale it in like this, you can see that this happens and everything peels off. So I want to make sure that I set my scale tool pivot point to be parent, and to use the transform coordinate center. So in this case, you will see that we're in sub-object mode. So the parent space is actually the object to which the sub-objects are a part of. So it's otherwise, if I had a local space, the local space would be the selected sub-object. So it might be the individual plane. You can see as I select different sub-objects, I get different pivot points. But if I go to parent space, then I just, no matter where I go, I always get the actual center of the parent object. So now I can select these guys, and I just want to ever so slightly scale that down so I've got a slightly thinner pole. Yeah, that's much better. Maybe a bit more. That's better. Okay. And then also I can do a bit of scaling here. Just flatten out that dagger shape. Cool. Okay, so that's how to create the shape of this railing. Everything else is just kind of finessing and to taste. Maybe getting a bit more of a smooth edge flow. A bit more pointy ends here. Like that. Okay. And then just finally drag that down to get some distance here. And then lastly, I can add my clone tool. Give it an dial up a couple of values. And there's my railings. Like that. Cool. So, hopefully you enjoyed that and you've learned some useful tips. And yeah, be careful of my sticky keyboard. So if there's stuff lingering around like that, then it's just because my keyboard is sticky. And I'm seeing that in a lot of my videos, and it's hard to trap all of this. So like if you just see that lingering around, I don't have my control key down all the time. So I'm trying to catch it, but it's a little frustrating sometimes. So I want to keep the keyboard logger working because I think it's helpful, because I don't always catch everything and describe it. But be careful if you see anything that's stuck like that. It probably means something's gone wrong with my keyboard. But anyway, hopefully you'll bear with me, and if you get frustrated by some things, just comment in the dialog box below.